I was just thinking about how, for me, when I was younger, sex was about getting approval from a man. It was trying to get love from a man. It was it, my thought. Like I sucked in my tummy until after I'd had my baby. Like I was trying to.
Mm,
So I sucked in my tummy, and I didn't really feel the sex when I was younger. Right? I
yeah.
was more like worried about how I looked and what he thought of me. And as I've gotten older, I've started letting sex be about my pleasure and about connection. And
Mm,
yeah, it's not about performing for somebody else. It's about, what do I
yeah.
feel? What do I want? What do I need? Right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's beautiful. And the irony of it that when you are in your pleasure, then your partner enjoys the hell out of it.
That
It's
too.
like the bonus for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you please tell more about your path from sex is dirty to sex is sacred?
Mhm.
I spent a lot of time. I've written probably 50 journals at least, and countless pages online on computer, working out my feelings about my sexuality, and um, arguing back and forth. And I've read so many sex positive books, and um, it's kind of like with fat and that relationship, like gotten angry about the limitations the society has placed on us. And for example, I wrote my book, The Sexuality Reclamation Project for Women, 20 years ago when my daughter was 8. And I was in energy healing school back in Michigan, the Midwest Academy for Healing Arts. And that was it. We had to write a thesis to graduate from this program. And had read all these sex positive books like The Ethical Slut and polyamory, and just like I explored the world of sexuality. And um, one of the things that really felt like a big risk to me was I started reading this like news magazine called The Bottom Line, that was published in Detroit, and it was for the LGBTQ community. And like reading that in public felt like so edgy to me, like woo, you know, like, and it's weird to me that it felt edgy to me, but that was my path, because like I was really ashamed of my own sexuality for a long time, or like ashamed of claiming that I'm a sexual person because I didn't feel like I had the right. I hadn't I hadn't achieved the beauty standard, right? But so anyway, like reading The Bottom Line, reading polyamory books and erotic books, and it just so many, like I've read probably over 1,000 erotic novels, maybe over 2,000. And reading those like normalized sexuality for me, right?
Mhm.
And then of
Yeah.
course I went to the high workshops, the um, Human Awareness Institute workshops on love, intimacy, and sexuality. And so that was a huge step for me. And then I did a um, de-armoring workshop with a shamanic de-armoring workshop, um, which that, woo, that's like that. And then I explored a little bit of BDSM, which I would like to explore that more, because when I did explore it, that's how I met my great lover. When I did explore it,
Mm,
it
this is where
wasn't
you find great lovers.
it wasn't the potential though that it could have been. It wasn't the communication that I wanted it to be. It wasn't the, like, in BDSM, like the central core of it is trust and open
Mm,
communication. And like, I'm not saying it was his fault. It was as much my fault because I hadn't learned to communicate my needs and desires and my what was true for me. Like I was still in the place where I was trying to please him. So like when he would tell me like about all the women before who had disappointed him in a certain way or whatever, I wanted to be the woman that didn't disappoint him. So I didn't say, this hurts and I don't like it. I let him hurt me and just hoped that would mean that he would love me. And it's not that. So BDSM requires you to say your boundaries and your limits. And I didn't, because I was still in a place where I thought I could earn somebody's love by pleasing them. And now I please me. And then if somebody loves me as I am, yeah. And then the journey, like, one of the levels of high is spirituality and sexuality. And like, it really taught me to hold myself sacred and my sexuality sacred. I mean, I more than anything that probably did. And then my writing. Oh, I was going to say, so I wrote this book 20 years ago, but I didn't publish it because my daughter was 8 years old. And I was afraid I might lose custody of her for the things I said.
Oh, wait. Oh my
God. Because I was very open about my sexuality. I have a chapter in there about children and sexuality, because children are sexual and we have to protect their sexuality. And we don't protect it by denying their sexual. Because when I was 10, I was sticking pencils in my vagina, not knowing that could harm me, right? So like, there are children who are sexual who need guidance and need protection from adult sexuality, because children's sexuality is not the same as adult sexuality, right? So there's whole there's whole conversations that have to be made about consent. Like, children cannot consent in any, like, it's infuriating when you see judges ruling, and this has happened many times, that this little girl seduced this man. Well, no, impossible, right? Not okay, not ever okay, so like, fierce about that. But even talking about the subject is terrifying. There was no way I was going to put that in the world.
Wow.
For me. Yeah.
And then how did you feel after, like, when you finally published it?
So what happened was, during the pandemic, I found the book, because I had just like put it away.
Oh wait, you just published it during pandemic?
Yes.
Oh, congratulations. Oh my God, it's a fresh book.
Yeah, so I read it when I found it, and I'm like, oh my God, if I had read these last 20 years, I wouldn't have made all the mistakes I made. Like, my second marriage would not have happened. But I wrote this book, and then I forgot all of the power in it, right? All of the things I told myself, all of the things I'd already learned. And so, yeah, I found it. I'm like, I need to put this in the world, because even if it's imperfect, and it is imperfect, I mean, like, in it, I share journal entries like that I've written. I argue with myself. Like, if you want to know how I went from sex is dirty to sex is sacred, it's in my book, because like, I would like have like actual arguments with myself. Like, oh, you miss high and mighty superior, and then like, because I'll tell you what, when I am afraid, when I'm hungry or tired, or when I don't have enough money, or, like, the first thing that happens is I shrink my sexuality. Oh. And then when I'm feeling safe and supported, and I have enough money, and I'm, well and feeling good, my sexuality expands, right? So I'd have these journal entries of expansion and contraction and arguing with myself. And like, so I even included in the book, and it doesn't make me look good, but like, letters I wrote to my first husband, where I'm like making demands, like, if you want me to stay married to you, this is what needs to happen. And it's like, yeah, maybe I wasn't fair to have those expectations, but like, I feel like by sharing that, it creates space for people to find out what's true for them. You might not agree with me. You might absolutely oppose me, but that will get you closer to who you are. And I have learned from people, and like, I have letters in my book to Oprah and Marianne Williamson, because 20 years ago, they were very influential in my life. Because Marianne Williamson was the spiritual director at the church I went to, the Church of Today in Michigan. And from her pulpit, she would say like really offensive things, fat phobic things. So I would write her letters. You are causing harm, right? So I included that.
Yeah.
But
yeah. I am wondering, Kat, did you give book to your daughter? Is your daughter reading your book?
So my daughter isn't super interested in what I have to say. I mean, like we have good conversations and stuff, but I don't think she ever reads my writing or takes my advice or anything like that. Like she'll talk to me and share, with me. And there are stories in the book about her. And I asked her permission and she was like, yeah, like she doesn't care. So I sort of told her what they were about, but like she didn't even want to read those. So
yeah.